Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to our Council's annual Endowment Donor Recognition Celebration. I'm Forrest Horton and serve as the Endowment Chair and Board Member for our Council. Thank you all for your dedicated support and for joining us virtually today. Normally our event would have taken place on the patio and inside the Scout Center, but of course the pandemic caused a delay and intervened. So we are glad to find a way to reach you all, and hopefully this may even reach a wider audience across the globe to help you celebrate your dedication and generosity. Engraved bricks commemorating the past year's donations have been placed in the Alice S. Marriott patio and the Robert N. D. Leggett Endowment Tribute Garden. This morning, we will proudly recognize our most recent James E. West recipients and endowment donors from 2019. Today, we celebrate the legacy that your endowment gifts create to support a top quality scouting program for our youth of today and tomorrow. We begin our program today, as we do all scouting events, with an invocation, presentation of the colors, and the Scout Oath and Law. Please bow your heads to worship according to your personal beliefs. We give thanks for this day, for fellowship in support of scouting, and we invite blessings upon us all and our loved ones. And we ask for strength and wisdom to help us be prepared for life's opportunities and adventures. Amen. To lead us in our opening ceremony, we are very pleased to have both troops 1533B and 1533G from Fairfax, Virginia. Take it away, Scoutmasters.
Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Hand over heart or Scout salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
2.
Please join me in the Scout Oath.
On my honor, I will do my best,
do my duty,
to God and my country,
and to obey the Scout law,
to help other people at all times,
to keep myself physically strong,
mentally awake,
and morally straight.
Please join me in the Scout Law.
A Scout is trustworthy, loyal,
helpful,
friendly,
courteous,
kind,
obedient, cheerful,
thrifty,
brave,
clean, and reverent.
Thank you, Troops 1533. These Scouts represent approximately 55,000 young men and women in the greater DC metro area who are learning through scouting to be prepared for life. This morning, we'll focus on inspiration, impact, and legacy. Legacy from our generation to our youth ensures scouting lasts forever. To remind us of why we all give to scouting, we have two youth inspirational speakers. First of all, Amy Germer from Crew 27 in Kensington, Maryland, who has just begun her second year at Carnegie Mellon University. Amy?
Hi, I'll start by introducing myself. I'm Amy Germer. I'm currently wrapping up my term as Vice President of Administration of the Northeast Region Area 6 Venturing Officers Association, as well as Youth Program Lead of Venturing Fest 2020. I've also served terms as President of the National Capital Area Council Venturing Officers Association and President of Crew 27. About a year ago, I was driving myself to the Marriott Scout Service Center giving a very similar speech. So similar, in fact, that I would prefer you avoid comparing the transcripts. I was looking forward to my first year in college, reflecting on how scouting had shaped me throughout high school, excited to see what a new world would bring me. Oh boy, second semester threw a curveball. Hopefully today I can offer a contemporary perspective, some words of teenage wisdom. Over the past 5 years, scouting has taken me on countless journeys. I've spent several weeks at Goshen Scout Reservation. I've camped under West Virginia sunsets along with international scouts at a jamboree. I've earned my PADI dive certification before diving in the Florida Keys, sleeping on the deck of a sailboat. I've fine-tuned my leadership at the National Advanced Youth Leadership Experience in Philmont, greeted by triple rainbows and the Milky Way. Every now and then there's a rainy day. You show up late to the campsite, set up tents in the dark, wake up to burnt, scrambled pancakes. There are ups and downs to the scouting experience. You're subject to the forces of Mother Nature that you can't always control. For every West Virginia sunset, there was West Virginia humidity. For every cool, breezy night on the deck of a sailboat, there's a cold, drizzly night, and you're not allowed to return to the cabin. Thanks to the advent of video format, I'll insert a picture here. An hour before this triple rainbow, it was storming, and we'd forgotten the lid we needed to boil our water. Yet, we persist. We do it again and again. We choose to sleep outside, and we accept that it isn't always easy. And we adapt. It's a litmus test for our passion, our perseverance, and our unwavering spirit. A year ago, I thought it was really cool that I'd reached a point in my scouting career where time zones were posted on conference call agendas. Now it's commonplace. The world has adapted, so has scouting. For one, unofficial uniform policy welcomes pajama pants. Yes, it's not the same, and compromises have been made. It's not going to be perfect. I'm the first one to say that I can't spend hours and hours on Zoom. Yet, we choose to endure the hard parts. We choose to treat this as a rainy day. The show must go on. Meetings, trainings, even events still happen online, and we accept that this isn't what we wanted. We make the best of it. We eat the scrambled pancakes. We sleep in the rain, and we find a different, more abstract lid to boil the water. In the meantime, we support each other's solo endeavors. I found myself mountain biking, which I haven't done in a while. Nature is still out there, and we can still take advantage. Scouting has empowered me in countless ways. It has fostered a willingness to overcome challenges and adversity. It has presented unique perspectives on leadership and organization. It's equipped me with the knowledge and critical thinking it takes to not only hold a leadership position, but serve in that leadership position. Scouting doesn't tell the next generation that they can do anything they set their mind to, because explaining is only the first step. Scouting demonstrates, guides, and enables the next generation to do anything when they set their mind to it. No matter how mature I was when I entered high school, no matter what my grades were, and regardless of blind ambition, I learned that there is so much more to character development and maturity, intelligence, and goal setting. You can't measure character through a transcript and a resume. Leadership is kindness. Leadership is perspective and intuition. Leadership is teamwork. Not all heroes wear capes, and not all leaders are chair people, presidents, advisors. Sure, they can be, but scouting has taught me that leadership must be among every single one of us. So, in the workforce or even next year's round of college applications, might I recommend, has the candidate developed the emotional intelligence it takes to navigate complex relationships and achieve a common goal? When no one answers the phone, would they leave a voicemail? Will they eat the scrambled pancakes? If there's anything I've learned in my first year at Carnegie Mellon, it's that my generation is smart. My generation is capable. And now my generation is forced to learn personal responsibility, time management, and self-discipline more than ever before. I ask you, the adults, to foster those capabilities. It's the facilitators, the adults who offer guidance or the lack thereof, transportation, trust, finances, that enable us to push our horizons and fulfill our potential. Thank you, adults, for your time and your patience. You're why I'm here today. Thank you for investing so much energy and faith into my generation, because not only does it show how much you care, but it pays off. Don't get discouraged when your youth stop agreeing with you all the time. It means you're doing it right. They're developing a sense of self. I said this last year, and I'll say it again. If you need evidence of an end result, look around. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amy, for your insight, for being a role model to young folks everywhere, and for all you do for scouting here in our council. Our next speaker is Will Gauker, Eagle Scout from Crew 758 in Frederick, Maryland. In the Order of the Arrow, Will has recently completed his term as Lodge Chief of the Amangamek Whippet Lodge. He personally supervised over 96,000 service hours of Order of the Arrow work, translating to over $2.5 million worth of service performed for our council's communities. Over to you, Will.
I've spent 2/3 of my life as a scout. That's 12 years. 12 years of work, experience, and excitement. In these 12 years, I spent hour after hour roaming the woods. I've biked and hiked for miles and miles. I've learned to build a fire out of seemingly nothing and collaborate with others. But above all, better than any lesson taught in scouting, I've discovered something that I can claim to be truly and inarguably meaningful. And I'll be honest, when you really get down to it, sometimes it can be an impossible feat to discover something significant. This is a difficulty many people have without ever really realizing it. Most times, it's because it's super easy to find a substitute for meaning. Happiness requires an immense amount of effort and thinking and searching, so much so that most times, true happiness is hardly an accident. Scouting is where I have forged my happiest memories. I build such a contrast between my life in scouting and my time in modern America that I have to illustrate one to explain the other. And here's my explanation. In a world where so much takes place that is done out of obligation and social pressure, scouting provides meaning to an age group that's routinely denied it. Out of all the possible programs for children to join, there's no doubt in my mind that scouting stands among the best. No other program gives young people the opportunity to realize that they are no less capable of achievement than anyone else. From my own experiences in the Order of the Arrow, what other 18-year-old has the ability to manage an annual operating budget of over $100,000 or plan an interfaith religious service for over 500 of their peers? Probably no other organization can offer this. But fortunately, for the youth in this organization, we have advisors who truly believe in us, so that a kid from a rural valley in Maryland has the opportunity to represent over 50,000 of his fellow youth to the council executive board. And so eventually I realized that the type of person that this program is trying to build is the person I am today. It's terrifying and daunting for a new scout to see an Eagle Scout and hear of all those requirements it takes to earn the award, all while maintaining a respected and impeccable moral character. However, the thing that nobody tells them is that the person is just a version of themselves that's waiting to get out and only needs a bit of encouragement and guidance to do so. And to be completely honest, I never thought I could reach Eagle. Even as I moved closer and closer, I never felt like the type of person that exemplified the Scout Handbook. But now that I am an Eagle, I realize I never really tried to be the moral character of an Eagle, because I already was. The requirements leading to the rank aren't meant to build young people into Eagle Scouts. The requirements simply make them realize that they were good people with moral worth the entire time, and honing those morals in a way to be a better citizen and person in the community. By presenting boys and girls with an extreme difficulty, and let's be really real here, camping is not at all easy. Scouting allows the youth to try to achieve as much as they possibly can. No 11-year-old could complete all those requirements without help and improvement over time, but no one is going to stop them. And this, above all, is the greatest thing a child can be given. The belief not that they will become someone when they're older, but they are worth something in that exact moment. I tell you the benefits of being a scout has brought me, but I honestly don't know. I've become so intertwined with the scouting program that it's impossible to discern the input of one who had created the product of another. I can, however, tell you that what I've developed in my years of scouting, hope, confidence, and one that is wholly apparent now, identity. I cannot imagine who I would have been without what I've experienced. Each adventure stands in my mind fresh and vivid, deep with meaning, and warm with fondness. And as I piece them together and place them one after the other to form a 12-year thread, I've discovered something that scouting has provided me with that is the most important: courage.
Thank you, Will and Amy. With that inspiration from you and from our donors over the course of the year 2019, we are inspired and ready to present our awards. We acknowledge endowment gifts received during 2019, and these funds are held in perpetuity to help underwrite scouting in our council for years to come. Without this commitment, foresight, and generous donations, scouting would not continue to serve our youth as it does today, or thrive as we want it to do in the years ahead. Now, there are a number of ways that you can make a planned gift for endowment. These include, but not limited to, gifts of stock, bonds, real estate, bequests, life insurance, retirement plan transfers, donor-advised funds, and gift annuities. Today, we recognize a family who supported scouting for many, many years, both while they were here with us to enjoy it and after they departed. You see, they thought not only about the present of scouting, but about the future and their legacy in scouting. Bob and Evelyn Dice knew what they were talking about when they said, endowment is a now and later investment in our youth. They loved scouting just as Bob loved his Navy career and planned to always support those activities. They planned ahead and put scouting into their will. Because of them, scouting, the National Capital Area Council, was able to continue through one of the roughest, most unprecedented times, that of COVID-19 last spring and summer. Planned gifts like these, after you are gone, truly become your scouting legacy. We would like to recognize the Dice family for all they have done for scouting and all that their gift will continue to do for the future of the youth in our council. This year, we present the 2019 Planned Giving Award to the Dice family, and we hope that David is online to hear our presentation to his family. And now we start where scouting started in the United States with Dr. James E. West. The James E. West Fellowship is a national award named after the first Chief Scout Executive, and the funds contributed, your donations, are invested right here in our council. This award recognizes gifts starting at $1,000. We find that many individuals make gifts of James E. West Fellowships either in memory of a special individual on behalf of someone else, such as to honor an Eagle Scout, a Silver Beaver recipient, a favorite Scoutmaster, or a beloved friend. These individuals will receive a certificate, a lapel pin, knot, and council shoulder patch. We wish we could be handing them to you today in person, but please stop by the Scout Service Center Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4 any day, to pick up your items and to have a photo taken with your memorial brick. You'll be glad you did. I will now read the list of James E. West Fellows from 2019. Ernest Atkins, Beech Tree Group, LLC, David and Pam Bennett, Gary Black III, Dick Borden, Claude Moore Charitable Foundation, Keith, Gavin, Allison, and Kathleen Collins, Kenneth and James Coulter, in memory of Chuck Covell, Graham Davidson, Tom Disma, Jacqueline M. Engelbrecht, Jay Engelbrecht, Ken Fang, Rick Ferry, in memory of John H. Graham IV, Joseph H. Grant, Beckman Charles Hollis, Arthur T. Keith III, Robert LeCount, Doug Leslie, in memory of Chris Lucander, Charles H. Mitchell, Sheila Mitchell, Melinda and Ronan Moran, the Mortensen Eagles, the Mutarelli family, Michael J. Pritchett, Ransom Ratcliffe, Hugh and Cindy Red, Luke Rose, the Rose Company, the Rotary Club of Springfield, Virginia, Aidan and Liam Ruddick, Zachary Adam Schoenfeld, David Schur, Jefferson B. Sessions, Beth and Ronnie Shaw, Charles L. Smith III, Jack and Liam Spiegelhalter, Dean Stinson, Brian Paul Summers, Robert J. Sutter, Dwight S. Weber, Mark Wisenhunt, Darrell E. White Jr., and Larry Wood. Thank you to all of our donors and recipients. We could not continue to deliver our exceptional scouting programs without your help. Now I would like to recognize individuals with an award specific to our council. We would like to recognize those donors who have contributed at the James E. West level for over 3 consecutive years to help set a sterling example of giving that goes well above and beyond. These donors will be recognized with a special council shoulder patch and a council necktie or scarf. Our newest NCAC Endowment Fellows are Charles H. Mitchell and Ken Davis. Gentlemen, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. As Scouting turned the page on its first century of service to America's youth, the BSA Foundation instituted some new giving levels to recognize and incentivize the financial support that is so vital to the fiscal stability of local councils such as ours. The Second Century Society now recognizes outright gifts of $25,000 or more, payable over 5 years, or deferred gifts of $100,000 or more to a local council, BSA Foundation, BSA High Adventure Base, or any BSA entity for operating, capital, or endowment needs. This year, we recognize John Hanson for his commitment to leave his legacy with Scouting through a gift to the Second Century Society. This is John's second gift to the Second Century Society, and we thank you and your family for your generous support to Scouting and the legacy that that represents. Speaking of John Hanson, he was kind enough to be here today as our keynote speaker. John, as many of you know, is a dear friend to Scouting and vice president at Wells Fargo. John, like his father Robert before him, are both Scouters for life and received their Silver Beaver Awards right here in our council. John, great to have you today. Welcome and thank you.
Early in my experience as a Scoutmaster, we went backpacking in the Shenandoah National Park near Old Rag Mountain. It was a cool afternoon in November with temperatures dropping and predicted to be well below freezing that night. We paused near a stream to purify and restock our water before spending the final 2 hours climbing 1,000 feet to a dry camp in the park backcountry. The camp was on the top of a ridge. One of the younger scouts took the opportunity to leap and dance from boulder to boulder in the stream. Successfully at first, then he slipped. The result was one very wet, cold scout, a recipe for hypothermia. Within minutes, a senior patrol leader discovered that the soaked scout had lightened his backpack before leaving his home by removing all of his spare clothes. What the senior patrol leader asked was, "What should we do?" And I turned the question around and asked him what he and his leadership team thought should be done. This was a teaching moment. They assembled, reviewed their resources, considered alternatives, and came up with a solution that allowed the trip to continue safely, each sharing a portion of their dry clothes with the cold scout. The next afternoon, when we returned to the cars for the trip home, the scouts had all grown in confidence and skill from the weekend. Scouting provides a real-life laboratory for developing leadership skills while instilling the values of the Scout Oath and Scout Law. I have kept up with some of the many youth that I served. I am proud to report that those youth have moved into adulthood in a variety of professions and communities, but uniformly continue to demonstrate those scouting values and leadership qualities. As an example, one of the youth attended the U.S. Naval Academy, graduating third in his class. One of his early missions was to defuse bombs, mines, and IEDs, improvised explosive devices, in the Iraq war zone. And he brought his entire team through the tour without losing anyone. The scouting program has a real impact. The mission of the Boy Scouts of America is to prepare young people to make ethical and moral choices over their lifetimes by instilling in them the values of the Scout Oath and Scout Law. Thank you to those loyal Scout supporters who we recognized here today. Very little of this youth activity would have been possible without a time-tested, constantly updated program, adequate facilities, and superior adult leader training and coaching. We are here to thank you and celebrate your generosity. We each serve but a short time in our role as supporters of Scouting. The Endowment Fund for the National Capital Area Council allows us to continue that critical support through ever-changing times, effectively magnifying the impact that we have in our own brief, short times. The National Capital Area Council continues to provide a meaningful scouting program to over 55,000 scouts, from 5-year-old cubs to high school age explorers, venturers, and Sea Scouts. But just how do we approach these very difficult times for all families and still fulfill our scouting mission? We dig in. We remember what our patrol leaders taught us and how our Scoutmasters inspired us. This spring, the National Capital Area Council spearheaded the following. We designed a Scouting at Home competition and stimulus program. We continued our year-long NCAC celebration of 100 years of camping with a Memorial Day weekend camp-in. We brought online a high-powered merit badge program. We emphasized family camping this summer at Goshen Scout Reservation until on the final weekend we found we had to share our magnificent camp with a family of bears. And yes, these were the 4-footed, not the 2-footed kind. We held 5 weekends of very successful family camping at William B. Snyder with our adult volunteers, including many of our colleagues online today, offering woodshop, STEM, BBs, nature hikes, fishing, climbing wall, slackline, and other activities that somehow always seem to wrap up the day with blueberry cobbler and s'mores around the family campfire. We made teamwork even more of an essential way of achieving our objectives in smaller groups, really understanding how to work the patrol method introduced by Scouting's founder, Robert Baden-Powell, and recently described in the book, Working the Patrol Method by Scoutmaster Rob Ferris. We are still persevering and providing adventures in nature, healthy development, and leadership on the framework of our great outdoors. And thanks to like-minded supporters of Scouting, just like you, our NCAC endowment and your personal Scouting legacies will ensure that Scouting continues for generations.
Thanks, John, for being our keynote speaker today and for all you and your family continue to do for scouting in our area. Now for our next speaker. Please welcome our Scout Executive and CEO, a true gentleman from West Virginia and a friend of Scouts everywhere. Craig Poland will provide us with his Scout Executive's Minute.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Craig Poland, Scout Executive for National Capital Area Council. Thank you for participating in our annual Endowment Patio event. As you can tell, we're actually not out on the patio this morning, but instead we're confined to these odd little video squares, which seem to be the new normal, at least for now. I'd like to begin this morning by recognizing a few folks. First, thanks to everyone who's made a new planned gift this year. Your vision and your generosity is greatly appreciated. I'd also like to thank John Hanson for serving as our speaker today, and more specifically, everything that he's done for many decades for scouting. Thanks, John. I'd also like to thank General Charles McGee for all that he's done for scouting and for our country. He's a role model and an inspiration to all of us. And as many of you may know, we recently offered a new council shoulder patch that featured the General's likeness. It sold out right away. It was a smash hit, and neither of those things are surprising. Finally, I'd like to thank Forrest Horton and his Endowment Committee for their tireless efforts on behalf of endowment and planned giving, and also for organizing the event today. Thanks, Forrest. Thanks, Committee. 6 months ago, our executive board made the tough decision to stop all in-person council and district activities, meetings, and events. And what that meant was just about every traditional scouting activity stopped immediately. Now, I firmly believed at the time that we'd be closed for 2 or 3 weeks at the most, and then we'd be back to business as usual. Boy, was I wrong. In the end, we canceled everything for 6 months. We canceled district camporees, Pinewood derbies, training sessions, Wood Badge, NYLT, weekend camping at Goshen and Snyder, OA events, our day camps, and summer camp. That's right, we had to cancel summer camp. And it didn't stop there. We had to cancel or postpone all of our fundraising special events and our fundraising campaigns. And during the spring, what that meant was we lost over $1 million in support to our council. When combined with day camps and summer camp, our total net loss over the spring and summer was $2.7 million. Our program changed as well. In a heartbeat, our scouts went from planning trips to Philmont in New Mexico and Camp Wall in St. Croix to literally squinting at each other through Zoom calls. It's been an odd time. But the challenges, they still continue. All of our special events have been rescheduled, but they have to be virtual. Weekend camping is still very limited, and large group gatherings such as district camporees are just not possible. Popcorn's also being impacted because it's driven by scouts going door to door or standing outside of high visibility locations, and that's just not a good idea right now. So you might ask, what does all this have to do with endowment and planned giving? And the answer is really quite simple. During all of this turmoil and inconsistency, planned giving has been the one constant. Thanks to the efforts of Forrest and the Endowment Committee, NCAC has benefited from a strong endowment fund for many years. And as you may know, a large portion of our endowment proceeds annually are directed to several very important initiatives. So during COVID, when fundraising suffered, endowment remained strong and in place to help. Specifically, the dollars that are directed to camp maintenance were still in place to ensure work was done by our rangers. When summer camp had to become virtual camp, there were still families with financial need, and camp scholarships were there to still help and assist them. And when summer camp itself was canceled and we lost $1.5 million in net support, there was an unrestricted gift from the Dice family that was available to save the day. Now keep in mind, the timing of the Dice family gift was fortunate. You could say it was lucky. But what wasn't luck was the vision of the Dice family when they worked with Forrest and others to plan the gift. That took vision and foresight, and that effort occurred many, many years ago. But it had an incredible impact on the lives of our scouts in real time today. And we can't thank them enough for that. We're indebted to them. Thanks, Dice family. While many councils were forced to substantially reduce staff members and cut programs, we did not. We've been able to maintain our staff, and our combined efforts with our amazing volunteers have helped us continue to deliver the scouting program in the face of incredible obstacles. Now, there are just a few examples I'd like to share with you. Through our new Merit Badge at Home program, over 1,600 scouts have continued to advance and earn badges that they would not have been able to earn during the pandemic. Our program committee offered WOW events, 30 different WOW events over the course of the summer, and they ranged in duration from 1 hour to a full weekend. And what's amazing is these events had combined over 80,000 participants, and over 8,000 of them were engaged participants from beginning to end of the event. During the COVID shutdown, our membership team organized 20 new units and recruited nearly 1,000 new youth participants, and we were shut down. We conducted our first summer camp at home program that had 550 campers. We also offered an in-person family camp experience at Goshen and Snyder, and 200 families took advantage of that, over 800 participants. Scouting is alive and well. 2020 has given us our share of bruises, there's no doubt about that, but thanks to Endowment, and more specifically the vision, foresight, and generosity of every single one of you, we are still here, we are still strong, and we are still making a difference in the lives of families who need us most at a time where we are most needed. And I'd like to personally say thank you to every single one of you for all that you do for Scouting, for your generosity, and for just caring. Stay safe and stay Scouting.
Thank you, Craig, for your remarks and leadership. Now let's answer the question as to why endowment is so important to the future of our council. This year, over $601,000 came from the interest on our endowment principal, $238,000 to operations, $275,000 to high priority maintenance camp projects. And that interest also provided scholarships to over 400 Scoutreach Scouts who otherwise would not have proudly worn a Scout uniform. That's what you and dedicated others, donors just like yourselves, have helped make happen. And we are on the track to match that impact this year and adds more to our endowment total net assets of $13.6 million. As you know, we support Scouting in different, very personal ways. Some do it through their talent, like becoming merit badge counselors or Scouting professionals. Some do it with their time, such as Scoutmasters, den leaders, and camp staffers. Some do it through their treasure, donating annually to our council's Friends of Scouting campaign, our Endowment Fund, and capital campaigns. And some, including some people online this morning, donate to all three: time, talent, and treasure. Thank you all for all that you do for the youth of our council. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our very first and hopefully our last virtual patio event and endowment celebration. Please don't forget to stop by the Scout Center, pick up your recognition items, and take a photo with your memorial brick. You'll be glad you did. Please stand with me and bow your heads for the wood badge benediction. And now in your journey, may the trail rise up to meet your stride. May the sun shine softly on your backpack. May the cool, clean waters carry your canoe safely to the next portage. May the wind bring warm blessings to your encampment. May your scouts find in you a fine example of the adult they hope to be. Peace be with you this day and forevermore, and may the great Scoutmaster of all Scouts be with us until we meet again. We wish you all challenging trails, warm fellowship around your campfires, and safe travels. Please have a great Scouting weekend. Thanks again for joining us this morning. Stay safe, stay Scouting. Thank you.